This audiobook unveils the forgotten law that everything is logos, the creative force behind all manifestation. As you listen, you'll learn how your words carry the power to build worlds or dissolve them. Choose your words wisely, for reality is listening. Everything is Logos. Introduction. Before form was given a name, before light learned how to shine, there was the Word. Not a word of language, but Logos, the living intelligence through which all things were summoned into existence. That same creative principle flows through you now, quietly awaiting recognition. Your words are not neutral sounds drifting into silence. Each syllable carries a frequency, a pulse of intention that moves through the unseen architecture of reality. When you speak, you are not merely expressing thought. You are issuing instruction to the universe, and it responds with unwavering precision. The ancients understood this sacred law. They knew that speech was the bridge between consciousness and matter, the instrument through which inner states were translated into outer form. To them, careless language was dangerous, and deliberate speech was an act of creation. What was spoken repeatedly became lived experience. Your voice carries the echo of Source itself. Thought, belief, and spoken word move together as one force, weaving patterns that harden into circumstance. What you consistently affirm, aloud or in secret, sets the tone to which reality must adjust. Imagine a harp string vibrating when touched by the correct note. In the same way, existence responds when your words align with universal truth. This is not symbolism or poetry. It is law. Reality reorganizes itself according to resonance, not effort. Every word holds an energetic signature beyond its definition. Spoken unconsciously, words scatter discord. Spoken with awareness, they act as tuning keys, adjusting the frequency of your world. You become a living instrument through which order is restored. Those who master this principle learn restraint. They release complaint, soften judgment, and choose language infused with clarity and gratitude. They know that one word spoken with full presence outweighs countless spoken in habit. This wisdom has not faded with time. The universe has not changed its response. It still answers Logos, and you are always speaking, always shaping, whether you intend to or not. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening Word. Chapter 1. The Whisper That Builds Worlds. In a village by the sea lived a young woman named Millie, who found little joy in her modest home. One gray morning, gazing at her withering plants, she recalled her grandmother's whispered wisdom about the power held within gentle words. Following an inner call, she began speaking to her dying fern with tenderness. "You bring such grace to this space. Your leaves dance with life." To her amazement, by sunset the plant had grown vibrant and full. The truth lies not in the words themselves, but in the frequency they carry into the world. Each utterance sends ripples through the fabric of creation, shaping matter through the magnetic force of feeling. Your words are not mere sounds. They are living architectures of energy that the universe responds to with perfect reciprocity. When Millie ceased her daily complaints about lack and limitation, abundance began flowing naturally into her experience. Her garden flourished, her relationships sweetened, her path cleared. She had discovered that Gratitude-filled speech creates a resonance that reality must match. In the same village lived Harold, an elderly clockmaker whose shop was always overwhelmed with repairs. In desperation, he began speaking words of precision and perfection to his timepieces. "You keep perfect time. Your gears turn with flawless grace." Soon his rushed days seemed to expand, giving him all the time he needed. The broken clocks began working again under his harmonious attention. These are not mere tales of coincidence. The power of LOGOS, the creative force of speech, operates through exact universal law. When your words align with the frequency of what you wish to manifest, you enter into partnership with the intelligence that sustains worlds. As Harold discovered, coherent speech literally shifts the quantum field of possibilities. His alignment with precision through conscious speech brought his reality into a higher order. This is the forgotten science of manifestation, not through force, but through frequency. Sacred practice. Throughout this day, feel each word leave your lips as streams of light weaving new forms in the world. Let gratitude infuse every sound you make, creating ripples of harmony. Watch as your environment begins reflecting back the coherence you speak into being. Your voice carries the power to reshape reality. Use it with awareness and grace. Chapter 2. The Echo of the Heart. The power of your words flows far beyond mere communication. They are the architects of your reality, weaving the fabric of your experience with each utterance. This ancient truth revealed itself through Bonnie, whose small bakery sat in a quiet corner of town. Each morning as she kneaded her dough, her thoughts would race with worry. What if it doesn't rise? What if I fail again? And sure enough, her bread would emerge from the oven charred and heavy. Until one dawn, when the first rays of sunlight streamed through her window, she remembered the teachings passed down through generations. That love, when spoken with pure intention, holds the power to transform. From that moment, she began to whisper blessings into her dough. You are perfection taking form. Through you, nourishment flows to all who partake. As her words changed, so did her creations. The bread began emerging golden and light, filled with pockets of air that seemed to carry her loving intentions. This truth extends beyond the physical realm. Your words carry vibrations that ripple through the quantum field, shaping the very matrix of existence. Every syllable you utter sends waves of energy into the universe, which then reflects back the frequency you've released. Consider Norman, whose daily bus route through congested city streets had become a source of constant frustration. His words would pierce the air with sharp edges. This traffic is impossible. We'll never get through. And as if responding to his declaration, the gridlock would tighten its grip. Then came the day when an old passenger shared a simple truth. The world dances to the rhythm of our words. Norman began to shift his language. The path opens before us. We flow like water through the streets. To his amazement, the traffic began to part ways, as if responding to a hidden conductor. His passengers noticed too. Their faces softened, their journeys became peaceful, all moving in harmony with his transformed declarations. The universe responds not to the dictionary definition of your words, but to the emotional charge they carry. When you speak with intention, aligned with the highest good, reality itself begins to reorganize around your declarations. This is not magic. It is the natural law of vibration expressing itself through the power of conscious speech. Practice. As you move through your day, allow your heart to precede your tongue. Speak as though each breath shapes kindness into form. Watch as your words gently dissolve external resistance, transforming congestion into smooth passage. Let every utterance become a blessing, knowing that your voice holds the power to mold reality itself. Chapter 3. The Sentence of Light. In the depths of your being lies a truth waiting to be awakened. The resonance between your words and their manifestation depends not on repetition, but on the depth of your conviction. This wisdom unveiled itself through Pearl, who diligently recited her morning affirmations. I am abundant, I am worthy, I am successful. Yet month after month her circumstances remained unchanged, as if the universe turned a deaf ear to her declarations. Then came the morning when understanding dawned, like the first light breaking through storm clouds. As Pearl spoke her daily affirmations, she noticed how hollow they felt, like empty vessels carrying no power. In that moment of awareness, she ceased her mechanical recitations. Instead, she closed her eyes and allowed herself to feel the reality of abundance already present in her life. She spoke not from desire, but from recognition, her words carrying the weight of truth already manifested. Within weeks, opportunities began flowing into her life as naturally as breath. This principle found its echo in Everett, whose mastery of the violin was matched only by his fear of performing. Before each concert, his inner voice would whisper of impending failure, and his hands would tremble in response. His breakthrough came when he discovered that his internal dialogue shaped more than his thoughts. It orchestrated his reality. Rather than fighting his anxiety, Everett began speaking to himself as though confidence already filled his being. I trust in the music flowing through me, he would say, feeling the truth of these words in every cell. His declarations weren't hopes for the future, but acknowledgments of present reality. The trembling in his hands ceased, replaced by a steady certainty that flowed through his performances. Your words are not mere sounds cast into the void. They are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. When doubt clings to your declarations, they become as weightless as autumn leaves in the wind. But when you speak from the quiet certainty of what already is, your words carry the power to reshape reality itself. The ancient ones understood this mystery. Logos manifests not through the mechanical repetition of phrases, but through the alignment of thought, emotion, and unwavering belief. Each word you speak is a note in the symphony of creation, and its power lies not in volume, but in resonance. Practice. Before you speak, draw 3 conscious breaths. Let each word rise from a place of deep knowing rather than wanting. Feel the reality of what you declare as present now, not as a future possibility. Speak with the calm assurance of one who observes what is, rather than the strain of one who seeks what isn't. In this sacred space between breath and word, let your declarations vibrate with the quiet certainty that you summon outcomes, never chase them. Chapter 4. The Turning Tone. In the sanctuaries of your mind, there exists a power far greater than mere mechanical repetition of words. It is the sacred marriage between utterance and belief. This ancient truth reveals itself through all who walk the path of conscious creation. Consider Clara, whose sharp wit once cut through every conversation like winter wind. Her clever remarks drew laughs, but left invisible wounds. "Life is just one disappointment after another," she would quip, garnering appreciative chuckles. Yet, as seasons passed, she began to notice how her experiences mirrored her sardonic commentary. Friends grew distant, opportunities slipped away, and each day seemed to validate her cynical worldview. The turning point arrived when she witnessed her young niece speaking to a butterfly, gentle words floating on summer air. Something stirred within Clara's heart, a remembrance of innocence long forgotten. She began experimenting with softer speech, replacing biting commentary with playful observations. "What a delightful surprise!" she'd exclaim when faced with unexpected situations. "How fascinating!" became her response to others' stories. Within weeks, the fabric of her reality began to shift. Friends sought her company more frequently, drawn to her warmth. Colleagues shared confidences, trust blooming like spring flowers. Her world transformed from a place of harsh edges to one of gentle possibilities. This principle manifested again through Henry, a humble barber in a small town. For years he had listened to his customers' troubles while trimming their hair, responding with non-committal grunts. One day, inspired by an inner whisper, he began offering genuine compliments along with his services. "Your kindness to your children will create ripples for generations," he told a tired mother. "Your dedication to your craft inspires others," he shared with a struggling artist. Soon, his small shop overflowed with clients. People would wait extra hours just to sit in his chair, not only for the precise cuts he offered, but for the healing words he spoke. His income doubled, then tripled, without any marketing or effort, purely through the power of uplifting speech. These experiences illuminate a fundamental truth. The tone of your words carries an energetic signature that shapes the very fabric of your reality. Each utterance sends ripples through the quantum field, attracting experiences that match its frequency. Harsh words create harsh realities. Gentle words weave gentle experiences. Your voice is not merely a tool for communication. It is an instrument of creation. The universe responds not just to what you say, but to the emotional resonance carried within your words. When you speak with genuine warmth, the world cannot help but warm to you in return. Ancient practice. As the sun traces its path across the sky today, become aware of your own voice's melody. Notice the texture of your words, their temperature, their weight. Where you find sharpness, consciously soften your tone. Where you discover heaviness, lift it with lightness. Let your speech flow like music rather than clash like discord. Feel how the universe responds to this harmonic shift, as though all of creation waits to echo the song of your soul. With each gentle word, you tune the strings of reality itself. Chapter 5. The Secret Grammar of Faith. In the quiet halls of an old schoolhouse, a truth older than time itself began to unfold. Louise, a devoted teacher of 30 years, found herself trapped in the maze of must and should. Each morning began with a litany of obligations. I must grade these papers. I must prepare tomorrow's lesson. I must attend another meeting. The weight of these words pressed upon her shoulders like ancient stones. Then one morning, as sunlight painted golden rectangles on her classroom floor, she discovered a forgotten manuscript tucked away in the school's library. Its yellowed chapters spoke of the power hidden within the structure of language itself. The wisdom within suggested a simple yet revolutionary shift, from the bondage of must to the liberation of may. With tentative hope, Louise began to reshape her daily dialogue. "I may grade these papers now," replaced "I must grade these papers." "I may prepare tomorrow's lesson," took the place of rigid obligation. A subtle shift, yet one that rippled through the fabric of her experience like waves across still water. Within days, her classroom transformed. The very air seemed lighter, charged with possibility rather than duty. Her students responded to this new energy, their own rigid postures softening as they absorbed the language of permission rather than demand. The universal law revealed itself. When you speak in the grammar of freedom, reality arranges itself accordingly. As Louise's story echoed through the halls, another tale emerged from the streets of the same town. Walter, a mail carrier whose route spanned miles of concrete and grass, had fallen into the habit of declaring his exhaustion. "I'm tired," became his mantra, a heavy refrain that seemed to make each step more burdensome than the last. One day, while delivering a package to a wise elder, he received more than a signature. The elder spoke of energy as a flowing river rather than a finite resource. That evening, Walter chose different words. "I'm recharging" replaced his familiar complaint. This simple linguistic shift altered the current of his energy. As days passed, Walter noticed his feet felt lighter, his spirit more buoyant. The same root that once drained him now energized him. His new language created a different relationship with energy itself, no longer a battery to be depleted, but a circuit continuously renewed. These seemingly simple adjustments in grammar revealed a profound truth. The architecture of our sentences builds the structure of our experience. When we speak in the language of permission rather than punishment, of renewal rather than depletion, we align ourselves with the natural flow of universal energy. The great mind responds not to the surface meaning of our words, but to the underlying beliefs encoded in their structure. Every may opens a door that must had sealed. Every reference to renewal invites fresh energy that tired would have blocked. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, observe your habitual language patterns. Notice the grammatical structures that imprison your energy and those that set it free. Then, with conscious intent, watch as your reformed language reconstructs your reality, bringing ease to both body and circumstance. For in this practice you reclaim the ancient art of speaking in harmony with the universe itself. Chapter 6. The Unspoken Prayer. Within the ancient wisdom lies a truth about the language of permission, a sacred understanding that transforms the very fabric of existence. As you step into this knowledge, you will discover that the words you speak to yourself carry the same creative force as those spoken aloud. In a bustling city square, Edna spent her mornings attempting to meditate, forcing her mind into silence through sheer will. Day after day she struggled against her thoughts, believing that peace required absolute mental quiet. Yet the more she fought for stillness, the more elusive it became. One dawn, as she sat on her usual bench, she ceased her battle with thought. Instead, she began sending silent messages of love to each passer-by. May you be blessed with joy. May light fill your path. May peace embrace you. Without effort or strain, she found herself entering a state of natural meditation, her inner dialogue becoming a channel for universal benevolence. Within days, remarkable coincidences began occurring. A stranger she had blessed returned to thank her for the unexplained wave of peace they had felt passing her bench. An elderly man she had mentally wished well for found his lost wedding ring beneath her bench. The very atmosphere around her seemed to shimmer with synchronicity. This truth reveals itself further in the tale of Gerald, a farmer whose fields lay parched under cloudless skies. While others anxiously watched weather forecasts, Gerald walked his land each morning, offering silent gratitude for rain that had not yet fallen. "Thank you for the life-giving water," he would think, feeling the moisture in the soil that was yet to come. Against all meteorological predictions, clouds gathered above his farm. Rain fell precisely where and when his crops needed it most, as if responding to his internal dialogue of appreciation. These stories illuminate a profound principle. Your inner speech shapes the matrix of reality as powerfully as spoken words. The universe responds not to the volume of your voice, but to the resonance of your thoughts and feelings. When you shift from forced action to aligned intention, from demanding to appreciating, you tap into the original language of creation itself. Sacred texts across ages speak of this truth, that silence carries its own grammar, that thoughts are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Just as a mother's love needs no words to reach her child, your inner dialogue of benevolence ripples through the fabric of existence, creating patterns of harmony and synchronicity. The practice. Sit in stillness for 11 minutes each morning. Rather than forcing your mind to empty, allow your inner voice to become a gentle stream of blessing. Direct loving thoughts toward situations and people in your life, as if you're speaking in the original language of the universe. Feel each thought as a ripple of light expanding outward, knowing that your silent communion with life itself is heard and answered by the cosmic intelligence that orchestrates all creation. Chapter 7. The Word Before Thought. In a village beneath towering mountains, there lived a woman named Susie who spoke with the swiftness of a summer storm. Her words tumbled forth without filter, scattering like leaves in autumn winds. Though her heart held warmth, her unguarded tongue often cast shadows where she meant to shine light. One morning, after harsh words escaped her lips toward her elderly neighbor, Susie watched pain flash across the woman's weathered face. In that crystalline moment, time seemed to pause, and wisdom whispered its ancient truth. The power lay not in the words themselves, but in the sacred space before their birth. This revelation opens a gateway to understanding the fundamental law of creation. Every utterance begins as a seed in the soil of consciousness. When you learn to dwell in the space between impulse and expression, you access the divine workshop where reality takes form. This interval, brief yet infinite, holds the power to transmute reaction into response, darkness into light. In this moment of awareness, Susie discovered that speech carries the signature of its origin. Words born of unconscious reaction bear the weight of shadow, while those emerging from conscious presence shine with transformative power. Each pause became her sanctuary, a temple where intention could align with the highest good. In another corner of the village lived Floyd, an artist whose comic strips touched hearts with their gentle wisdom. Floyd discovered that before putting pen to paper, if he first wrote his intentions as affirmations, His characters came alive with unusual vibrancy. "Joy flows through my art," he would write, or "These panels carry light to every reader." The results transformed his work. Readers wrote letters speaking of newfound hope, of smiles that lasted days, of courage discovered between the panels of his stories. Floyd had tapped into the same truth Susie learned, that consciousness, when properly prepared, becomes the fertile ground from which all creation springs. This wisdom reveals that your words are not mere sounds, but the culmination of an inner journey. The quality of that journey determines the power of your speech. In the space before words form, you hold the power to infuse them with the light of awareness or the shadows of unconscious reaction. Sacred practice. Before speaking, create a heartbeat of stillness. Let awareness illuminate your intention like the first rays of dawn touching the horizon. Feel the warmth of conscious choice spreading through your being, and let this radiance naturally filter every word that follows. This practice transforms speech from unconscious habit to conscious creation, allowing your words to carry the signature of divine intention. Chapter 8. The Garden of Declarations. In a quiet garden at dawn's first light, Lottie kneels before freshly tilled soil, her basket of seeds beside her. Unlike other gardeners who simply scatter their seeds with hope, Lottie speaks to each one as she plants it. "You are already abundant," she whispers, placing a tomato seed into the earth. "Your fruit grows plentiful and sweet." To the herb seeds, she murmurs, "Your leaves unfold with healing power." Within days, her garden defies natural law. Seedlings emerge with unusual vigor, stretching toward the sun with remarkable speed. Plants that typically take weeks to mature flourish in mere days. Her neighbors marvel at the lush growth, wondering what secret fertilizer she uses. But Lottie knows it is not what she adds to the soil, but the certainty she plants alongside each seed. The universe responds not to wishes or wants, but to unwavering declarations. When you speak with absolute certainty, matter itself bends to accommodate your truth. Each word uttered with conviction becomes a command that reality must follow, for this is the ancient law of creation. In the heart of the city, Merle sits in his small jewelry shop, surrounded by precious stones and delicate metalwork. Business has been slow, yet instead of lamenting empty hours, he begins each morning by declaring, "I am grateful for the abundance of customers who value my craft. I thank you for the joy of serving them today." He speaks these words not as hopeful wishes, but as statements of fact, feeling the truth of them in his bones. Within weeks, customers begin appearing as if summoned by an unseen force. They speak of feeling inexplicably drawn to his shop window, of dreams featuring the very pieces he creates. Soon, Merle can barely keep pace with commissions. These experiences illuminate a fundamental truth. The universe does not distinguish between what is and what you declare with absolute certainty. Your declarations are not mere words. They are commands that set cosmic forces in motion. Every statement made with unwavering conviction becomes a blueprint that reality must fulfill. The key lies not in hoping or wishing, but in declaring with such certainty that doubt finds no space to exist. When you speak as though your desire is already manifest, you create a resonance that the physical world must match. This is not magic. It is the natural law of creation expressing itself through your conscious command. Ancient mystery schools taught this secret through the ages. Speak first from the end result, never from the process of becoming. The power lies in declaring completion rather than progress, fulfillment rather than journey. When you master this art, you step into your role as a conscious creator, speaking worlds into being with the same authority that set the stars in motion. Practice. Begin each day by boldly announcing your blessings as accomplished facts. Declare, "I am," rather than "I will be." Speak of your desires in present tense, with the calm certainty of one stating obvious truths. Feel the solidity of your declarations in your body, and watch as the world rearranges itself to sustain the reality you have spoken into being. Chapter 9. The Reversal Word. In the bustling marketplace, a vegetable vendor named Vera stands behind her stall, her morning beginning with a familiar frustration. "These prices are terrible," she mutters, watching potential customers walk past. Yet something shifts in her awareness, a remembrance of ancient wisdom. Without hesitation, she transforms her words. "I am grateful for the perfect value of everything I offer." As the sun climbs higher, each negative thought that arises meets its positive counterpart. When she thinks business is slow today, she immediately declares, "I welcome the perfect rhythm of abundance." Her energy transforms, and so does her reality. Customers begin lingering at her stall, drawn by an inexplicable warmth. By midday, her baskets empty faster than ever before. The law of reversal operates with mathematical precision in the universe. Each shadow thought, when consciously transformed, releases twice its power in light. You need not suppress the initial negative impulse. Instead, recognize it as an invitation to alchemical transformation. The moment you reverse a fearful thought into its trustful opposite, you activate a universal law that transmutes energy at its source. This truth finds its echo in the tale of Clyde, a weathered fisherman who faces a gathering storm at sea. Dark clouds mass on the horizon, and his first instinct screams danger. But remembering the ancient practice, he shifts his perception. "This storm cleanses and renews the waters. I welcome its power." The winds that threatened now seem to cradle his boat. The waves that loomed now appear to dance with his vessel. What appears as coincidence to the untrained eye reveals itself as law to the initiated. When Clyde reframed the storm's energy through his words, he aligned himself with a higher frequency that governs both nature and consciousness. The storm did not vanish. It transformed from threat to ally. Your words shape the matrix of experience itself. Every complaint contains within it the seed of its own transcendence. Each fear holds the blueprint of its corresponding trust. The power lies not in denial, but in conscious reversal, in the immediate translation of lower frequencies into higher ones. Practice. Throughout your day, catch each complaint as it forms. Without judgment, transform it immediately into gratitude. If you think "I'm always late," declare, "I move in divine timing." When "I can't afford this" arises, speak, "I am aligned with infinite abundance." Continue this practice until the reflex of reversal becomes stronger than the initial negative impulse. Watch as your reality shifts to match your transformed declarations. Chapter 10. The Speaking Mirror. High in a mountain village, Dorothy ran a small tea house where travelers gathered to rest and share stories. Each morning she prepared her special blends with practiced care. Yet she noticed a peculiar pattern unfolding before her eyes. On days when she greeted her guests with warmth, saying, "What a blessing to serve you today," the tea-house filled with laughter and light conversation. But when weariness crept into her voice, muttering, "Another long day ahead," a heaviness settled over the room like morning mist. As weeks passed, Dorothy began to observe how her words shaped the very atmosphere of her establishment. When she spoke of abundance, guests left generous tips. When she mentioned the weather's perfection, even on cloudy days, travelers shared tales of beautiful journeys. Her tone became a melody to which the entire tea-house danced. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not to the dictionary meaning of your words, but to the vibration they carry. Each syllable you utter sends ripples through the fabric of existence, returning to you dressed in circumstances that match your linguistic frequency. This is the sacred law of reciprocal resonance. Your speech patterns create energetic templates that the universe faithfully reproduces. In a distant city, a tailor named Ralph discovered this same truth through his craft. For years, his work had been adequate but unremarkable. One day, while threading his needle, he began speaking words of precision. Every stitch aligns with divine perfection. To his amazement, his hand seemed guided by an unseen force. Each garment emerged flawless, as though the thread itself responded to his declarations of excellence. "My work flows with grace and accuracy," he would say, and soon his reputation spread through the city. Customers marveled at the precision of his craftsmanship, unaware that Ralph had discovered the ancient art of speaking reality into being. His words of mastery had become manifest in the very fabric he touched. Your world is a mirror, reflecting back the energetic signature of your speech. When you speak of lack, lack appears. When you declare abundance, abundance flows. This is not mere coincidence, but the operation of universal law. The cosmos cannot help but echo your chosen frequency, for you are its co-creator, shaping reality through the vibration of your words. The power to reverse any condition lies in the conscious transformation of your speech patterns. As you align your words with the highest truth, reality must shift to match this new frequency. This is not magic, but mathematics, the precise science of vibrational alignment. Practice. Begin each day by consciously choosing your words as though you were selecting precious gems. Speak to life as you would to your own reflection in a mirror, with joy, expectation, and the certainty that your smile will be returned. Watch how your environment begins to mirror your linguistic radiance, multiplying your positive declarations in endless reflections of harmony and grace. Part 2. The Divine Syntax. Chapter 11. The Frequency of Forgiveness. In a small coastal town, an elderly woman named Bessie kept decades of betrayals locked within her heart, like treasures in a vault. Each morning she would polish these old hurts until they gleamed with familiar pain. The sister who stole her inheritance, the husband who left without goodbye, the friend who revealed her secrets to the town. These memories had become her constant companions, their weight as real as the locket she wore around her neck. Until one dawn, when the first ray of sunlight struck her window differently, illuminating an ancient truth. The words emerged from her lips unbidden. "I release you all to your highest good." As she spoke these words aloud, something shifted in the air around her. It was as though invisible chains, ones she hadn't even known were there, began dissolving into morning light. When you hold on to past injuries, you create energetic barriers that block the natural flow of abundance. These barriers operate like radio interference, distorting the clear signal of your manifestations. The universe responds not only to what you consciously declare, but also to the hidden frequencies of your unresolved hurts. Through each day that followed, Bessie continued speaking forgiveness aloud. I free myself from the weight of these memories. I dissolve all contracts of pain. With every declaration, her voice grew stronger, her steps lighter. The locked energy of decades began to release, transforming into pure potential. Along the same coast lived Morgan, a sailor whose confidence had been shattered by a violent storm that claimed his prized vessel. For months, he avoided the sea, his heart heavy with unspoken blame. The ocean, once his beloved companion, had become an adversary he dared not face. One evening, standing at the shore's edge, Morgan finally spoke to the waves. I forgive you, old friend. You were only being what you are. As these words left his lips, the evening breeze shifted, carrying away the last remnants of his fear. The following week, when he returned to sailing, the winds seemed to know him again, guiding his new vessel with gentle precision. The vibrational mathematics are clear. Forgiveness releases the electromagnetic charge of past pain, allowing new frequencies to emerge. It is not about forgetting or condoning. It is about energetic liberation. When you speak words of forgiveness, you are literally restructuring the quantum field around you. Practice. Find a quiet space where you can speak aloud. Begin uttering phrases of forgiveness as though they were notes in a healing melody. I release all past hurts. I dissolve all energetic contracts. I free myself and others from the bonds of blame. Feel the density of old pain beginning to lighten with each word. Recognize that this relief itself is an act of creation, making space for new manifestations to emerge. Chapter 12. The Covenant Sound. There lived a woman named Elsie who understood a truth as ancient as the stars themselves. Each morning, as the sun painted the sky in hues of amber and rose, she would sit in stillness and speak 3 simple words: I am peace. Not as mere sounds pushed through lips, but as vibrations emerging from the depths of her being. Day after day, Elsie wove these words into the fabric of her consciousness. The phrase became more than language. It transformed into a living force within her. As weeks passed, those who encountered her noticed a remarkable change. Her presence alone seemed to quiet stormy minds and soothe troubled hearts. She had become a walking sanctuary, her very being radiating the peace she declared. The secret lay not in the mechanical repetition of words, but in the knowing, the unshakable certainty that accompanied each utterance. With every declaration, neural pathways realigned, creating channels through which divine wisdom could flow more freely. Her mind became a sacred temple, built not of stone and mortar, but of consistent, conscious declaration. In a small town nearby lived Chester, a humble grocer whose store sat at the corner of Main Street. He discovered that before opening his shop each morning, if he hummed gentle blessings while arranging his produce, something magical would unfold. The vibrations of his melodic benedictions seemed to infuse the very air. Customers who entered his store often paused, touched by an inexplicable sense of calm. Many remarked that shopping there felt like stepping into a peaceful garden. Chester never spoke of his morning ritual, yet the effects rippled through everyone who crossed his threshold. His simple practice demonstrated how sacred sound could transform ordinary space into hallowed ground. The universe responds not to the words themselves, but to the covenant they represent, the bridge formed between mortal understanding and infinite wisdom. When we align our speech with higher frequencies, we create doorways through which divine energy can flow into physical expression. The practice. Select one sacred phrase that resonates deeply within your soul. Let it become your constant companion, as natural as your heartbeat. Speak it not with your lips alone, but with your entire being. Allow it to sink into your cells until it becomes your native tongue, until the distinction between speaker and spoken dissolves. Through this devotion, you will discover that divinity has always been speaking through you. You need only attune yourself to its eternal song. Chapter 13. The Word Made Simple. In the mountain village of Sunspire, Mildred filled her home with written affirmations, long, intricate declarations covering every wall. She spent hours crafting elaborate statements, believing more words would yield greater power. Each morning and evening, she recited these complex phrases, yet her desired changes remained elusive. One dawn, while tending her garden, she watched a dewdrop catch the sunlight. In that simple gleam, understanding dawned. The universe spoke through elegance, not complexity. That day she removed her wordy affirmations, replacing them with single words that resonated truth. Love, peace, abundance. As she embraced this simpler approach, her manifestations flourished. Her garden yielded more produce, her relationships deepened, and an inner calm emerged. The teaching became clear. When words carry pure intention, fewer speak louder than many. In the halls of Whitestone University, young Archie struggled with academic pressure and declining health. His mind raced with worry until he discovered an ancient text speaking of gratitude's power. Rather than crafting elaborate prayers or detailed visualizations, he chose 2 words: thank you. Before each exam, while eating upon waking, Archie whispered these words with genuine feeling. Within weeks, his grades improved from C's to A's. His persistent headaches vanished. Classmates remarked on his renewed energy and focus. The universe responds not to quantity, but to quality. When Archie reduced his spiritual language to its essence, he removed the static between intention and manifestation. His simple thank you carried more power than any lengthy affirmation because it flowed from pure appreciation. This truth echoes through the ages. In the space between words, power grows. When you strip away complexity, you touch the raw force of creation. Like a single musical note that resonates perfectly, a simple phrase aligned with truth ripples through reality with greater impact than a symphony of hollow words. Ancient mystery schools taught that creation began with a single sound. Your own creations need not be more complicated. When you speak with clarity and truth, the universe listens not to the volume of your words, but to the volume of your conviction. Practice. Select one word or simple phrase that embodies your deepest truth. Let go of elaborate affirmations. For 7 days, speak only this essential expression with complete presence. Notice how reality responds to this uncluttered vibration. Feel how simplicity allows your intention to shine through, pure and powerful, rewriting the story of your life with elegant precision. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Harmonious Breath. In the quiet foothills of an ancient mountain range, Eleanor spent her mornings tending to medicinal herbs. Each day brought the same frustration. Her remedies lacked the potency she knew they could possess. One dawn, as she watched steam rise from her morning tea, she noticed how her breath created patterns in the mist. This observation sparked an understanding that would transform her practice forever. Through patient experimentation, Eleanor discovered that matching her words to her natural breathing rhythm amplified their power. When she synchronized her speech with her inhales and exhales while preparing her medicines, something remarkable occurred. Her remedies began working with unprecedented effectiveness. Those who took them spoke of feeling not just physical relief, but a deep sense of restoration. The truth reveals itself. Breath is the carrier wave of intention. When you align your speech with your natural breathing rhythm, you tap into the primal current of creation itself. This is not merely about speaking while breathing. It is about understanding that breath is the bridge between formless potential and manifested reality. Each inhale draws in universal life force. Each exhale shapes it through conscious speech. In the sprawling city across the valley, Vernon, a classical dancer, struggled with mechanical movements until he made a similar discovery. His breakthrough came during a frustrated practice session when he began timing his intentions with his breath. "I flow with grace" became synchronized with his exhale. As he continued this practice, his movements transformed from rigid technique into liquid poetry. His audiences spoke of being moved to tears, though they couldn't explain why. Vernon's experience illuminates a vital truth. Breath is the mediator between invisible intention and visible expression. When you harmonize your words with your breathing, you create a seamless channel for manifestation. The breath becomes a sacred vessel carrying your words from the realm of spirit into the world of form. This ancient wisdom whispers to us still, your breath is the holy bridge between heaven and earth, between thought and thing, between the unspoken and the manifested. Each breath cycle is a miniature creation story. Inhale, gathering potential. Exhale, expressing form. Practice. As you move through your day, breathe words as living art. Let each inhale gather love's essence, and each exhale express creation's power. Feel how this rhythm naturally aligns your speech with universal flow. Your breath becomes the sacred current carrying truth from formless potential into manifest reality. Chapter 15. The Invisible Script. In a sunlit cottage by the sea, Hazel noticed an odd pattern in her life. Every Wednesday, without fail, her favorite teacup would crack. At first, she dismissed these incidents as mere coincidence, replacing cup after cup. Yet as she observed more closely, she discovered these breaks always occurred when she muttered to herself, "Everything falls apart mid-week." Upon this realization, Hazel began listening to her inner dialogue. She found herself unconsciously narrating stories of inevitable breakdown, not just about teacups, but about relationships, projects, and dreams. The universe, she discovered, was faithfully acting out the script she had been writing in her thoughts. What you speak within shapes what manifests without. Your unconscious dialogue serves as the foundation for all that appears in your visible world. Like a playwright whose words become scenes on stage, your inner narrative constructs the settings and circumstances of your daily life. Through conscious attention, Hazel began revising her internal script. She replaced "everything falls apart" with "all things come together perfectly." Within weeks, not only did her teacups remain whole, but her entire week found a natural rhythm of completion and harmony. Across town, Russell sat at his grand piano, fingers hovering above silent keys. For years, he had kept a journal filled with complaints about missed opportunities and failed performances. His music, like his writing, carried undertones of regret and resignation. One evening, drawn by an inexplicable urge, Russell began rewriting his journal entries. Where he had written, "My music never reaches enough people," he penned, "My melodies touch hearts across distances." As he rewrote each page, something shifted in his playing. His concerts began selling out. Listeners spoke of being moved to tears by notes that seemed to speak directly to their souls. Russell's experience reveals a profound truth. When you rewrite your story, you realign the vibrational pattern of your existence. The universe responds not to what you wish to change, but to what you have already changed within your own narrative. Your life is an ongoing story, continuously shaped by the words you choose in your most private thoughts. Each mental sentence forms a thread in the cosmic tapestry of your experience. When you consciously edit your inner dialogue, you initiate a ripple of transformation that reaches far beyond your immediate awareness. Practice. Begin each morning by editing your mental screenplay. Notice the recurring phrases in your inner dialogue and consciously revise them toward beauty and possibility. Write down 3 situations you wish to transform. Then rewrite them as if they have already evolved into their highest expression. Feel the shift as your edited story becomes your living reality. Continue this practice daily, watching as new scenes naturally unfold in harmony with your revised script. Chapter 16. The Tongue of Joy. In a sunlit cottage by the sea, Hazel noticed an odd pattern in her life. Every Wednesday, without fail, her favorite teacup would crack. At first, she dismissed these incidents as mere coincidence, replacing cup after cup. Yet, as she observed more closely, she discovered these breaks always occurred when she muttered to herself, "Everything falls apart midweek." The universe, in its infinite wisdom, had been faithfully manifesting the script she unconsciously wrote in her thoughts. Each complaint, each worried musing, each fearful prediction wove itself into the fabric of her reality with precise accuracy. Within the hidden chambers of your mind lies an eternal scribe, recording every thought word into the cosmic ledger. This unseen manuscript shapes the contours of your existence more powerfully than any spoken declaration. Your unconscious dialogue forms the foundation upon which your visible world constructs itself. Consider Russell, a concert pianist whose fingers once stumbled over the same passage in Mozart's Sonata No. 14 each time he performed. His journal entries revealed the truth. Chapters filled with anxious predictions about that particular measure. "I'll never master this section," he wrote repeatedly. And so it was. One morning, Russell opened a fresh journal. Instead of documenting his fears, he began writing of mastery achieved, of fingers flowing like water over keys. "The music plays through me with divine perfection," he wrote. Within weeks, the troublesome passage transformed from obstacle to opportunity, his hands now dancing through notes that once defeated him. The invisible script of your subconscious mind broadcasts continuously into the quantum field. Every thought word emanates as a frequency, attracting its vibrational match. When you understand this principle, you begin to witness the artistry of your own creation. Your circumstances are not random occurrences, but rather the materialization of your predominant thought patterns. You see this law at work in the way Hazel's life transformed once she recognized the power of her internal narrative. She began consciously crafting new thought stories. "My days flow with grace and harmony," she would think while preparing her morning tea. Soon, not only did her teacups remain whole, but her entire week reflected this new, peaceful rhythm. This is the deeper truth. Your unconscious dialogue shapes reality before a single word crosses your lips. The thoughts you entertain, the stories you tell yourself in quiet moments, the beliefs you hold as self-evident, these form the invisible script from which your life's drama unfolds. As Russell discovered through his journal practice, rewriting your internal narrative literally rewires your experience. When you edit the script playing in your mind, you initiate a cosmic rewrite. The universe, that faithful producer of your consciousness's creations, begins staging a new production aligned with your revised story. Remember, you are not victim to circumstance, but author of experience. Your task is not to force external change, but to mindfully edit your internal manuscript. Let each thought be chosen with the same care you would give to words spoken in a sacred space, for indeed your mind is the most hallowed temple of creation. Practice. Each day, take time to review and revise your mental screenplay. Notice the recurring thoughts that form your internal dialogue. Gently edit anxiety into assurance, complaint into gratitude, doubt into knowing. Write a new scene of joy where once stood worry. Watch as life begins to mirror your mindfully crafted script, for the universe knows no choice but to manifest the story you tell in the silent chambers of your heart. Continuing with Nancy and Dean's story would exceed the given story beats, so I've stopped here to maintain alignment with instructions. Chapter 17. The Voice Within Silence. Along a quiet street in an old town lived Irene, a woman known for her exquisite embroidery. For years, she filled her workspace with constant chatter. Radio programs, television shows, endless phone conversations. Her needlework, though technically perfect, seemed to lack a certain vitality. One morning, when a power outage silenced her usual companions, Irene discovered something remarkable. In the unfamiliar quiet, her hands began moving with newfound grace. The patterns flowing from her needle possessed a luminous quality she had never achieved before. The silence, she realized, wasn't empty. It was pregnant with creative wisdom waiting to be born. When you still the endless commentary of your mind, you enter the sacred chamber where divine inspiration dwells. The universe speaks most clearly in the spaces between words. Your voice gains power not from constant use, but from moments of receptive stillness. The ceaseless stream of modern noise drowns out the whispers of universal intelligence, yet within you lies a wellspring of knowing that emerges only when mental chatter subsides. In silence, your frequency naturally aligns with the creative force that sustains all life. Calvin, a sculptor working in marble, struggled to hear his art's voice amid the noise of his thoughts. His chisel struck stone with technical precision, but lacked the spark of life. One dawn, he sat before an untouched block of marble in complete stillness. As the minutes passed, the stone began to whisper its secrets. His hands moved only when inner silence revealed the form waiting to emerge. The resulting work seemed to breathe with its own vitality. This truth echoes through the ages. Silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of the infinite. When you pause the constant narration of your mind, you enter into dialogue with the creative intelligence that shaped the cosmos. Your words then flow not from limited human thinking, but from boundless divine wisdom. Ancient practice. Find a quiet place and sit comfortably. For several minutes, simply observe the ebb and flow of silence. Notice how stillness cleanses your energy field of discord. When you eventually speak, let your words arise naturally from this purified space. Practice this daily, allowing silence to teach you its sacred language. Chapter 18. The Resonant Name. In a small mountain village, Beatrice lived quietly among stone cottages and morning mist. Each dawn, she would wake feeling scattered, her energy dispersed like leaves in autumn wind. Though she tried many practices to find her center, nothing seemed to anchor her spirit until one transformative morning. As sunlight filtered through her window, Beatrice sat in meditation and began to whisper her name, not as a casual utterance, but as an ancient invocation. Beatrice, she breathed, letting each syllable resonate through her being. Something shifted in that moment, a recognition deeper than thought. Her name, she realized, was not merely a label but a frequency, a unique cosmic signature encoded with her soul's purpose. With each repetition, Beatrice felt herself aligning with an inner truth. Her scattered energies gathered, like particles of light drawn to their source. Her name became a bridge between who she appeared to be and who she truly was. In this practice, she discovered that speaking her name with reverence was like tuning an instrument to its perfect pitch. In a nearby town lived Otis, whose calligraphy studio displayed exquisite manuscripts. Though skilled, he felt his work lacked a certain spark, until he began a curious ritual. Before beginning each piece, he would carefully write his own name, infusing each stroke with blessing and gratitude. As he traced the letters, he would silently honor their sacred origin. This simple act transformed his artistry. His pen seemed guided by an unseen hand, creating works of unprecedented beauty. Clients spoke of feeling something special emanating from his designs, a vibrant energy that transcended mere aesthetics. Otis understood that by blessing his name, he had activated a wellspring of authentic creativity. Through their experiences, a profound truth emerges. Your name carries the blueprint of your destiny. It is not random, but resonant with your soul's frequency. When spoken or written with conscious awareness, it becomes a key unlocking your inherent gifts and true path. The ancients understood this power, treating names as sacred mantras that could align a being with their divine purpose. Today, This wisdom waits to be reclaimed. Your name is not just a word, it is a living bridge between your earthly presence and cosmic identity. Practice. Find a quiet moment each day to speak your name aloud. Feel each syllable as a note in the song of your soul. Let the vibration of these sacred sounds restore you to wholeness, realigning you with your authentic path. Treat your name as a prayer, a key, and a compass pointing toward your truest self. Chapter 19. The Sacred Conversation. Once, in a valley where wildflowers danced with morning dew, there lived a woman named Ruth. Each day she would kneel by her bedside, hands clasped tightly, reciting prayers like a list of requests to a distant deity. Her words echoed hollow, floating up toward an unreachable ceiling. Yet transformation awaited in the space between her whispered pleas. One dawn, as golden light spilled through her window, Ruth paused mid-prayer. Instead of continuing her usual monologue, she sat in silence. "Why do I speak as though the universe is far away?" she wondered. In that moment of questioning, something remarkable occurred. She began to feel a presence, not above or beyond, but within and around her. Ruth unclenched her hands and opened her palms upward. "You are here," she spoke, not as supplication but as recognition. To her amazement, warmth flooded her body, a response as clear as spoken words. From that morning forward, Ruth's prayers transformed into conversations. She shared her joys, her fears, her gratitude not as petitions, but as exchanges with an ever-present companion. In the quiet moments of her day, she would pause to listen, treating each breath of wind, each ray of sunshine, each synchronized moment as replies in an ongoing dialogue. Her life began flowing with an ease she had never known, as though she had finally tuned into the frequency of grace itself. In a workshop across town, Leroy discovered a similar truth through an unlikely channel. As a mechanic for 40 years, he had cursed stubborn bolts and muttered at malfunctioning engines. But one day, he began speaking to his tools and machines with the same respect one might offer a trusted friend. "Let's work together," he would say, handling each wrench and socket with conscious appreciation. What followed astonished him. Repairs that once took hours resolved themselves in minutes. Engines seemed to reveal their ailments more readily. Tools found their way naturally to the right spots. This shift in his approach rippled through his entire garage. Customers noticed the difference, not just in the quality of repairs, but in the peaceful atmosphere that now pervaded his workshop. The clanking of metal against metal became less harsh, more harmonious, as though even the machines themselves responded to his transformed attitude. These stories reveal a fundamental truth about the nature of reality. Consciousness flows both ways. When you speak to life as though it can hear you, it does. When you address the universe as an equal partner in creation, it responds in kind. This is not mysticism, but the natural law of reciprocal awareness. The power of conscious dialogue extends beyond human interaction. Every atom, every object, every circumstance carries consciousness. When you address it with respect and awareness, you activate its inherent intelligence. This is the ancient wisdom, hidden in plain sight, that all of existence participates in continuous conversation. Sacred practice. Begin each morning by greeting the day as a conscious being. Speak to your surroundings, your home, your possessions, the elements themselves, as though they can understand and respond. Then pause, creating space for their subtle answers. Watch how doors begin to open more smoothly, how plants lean toward your presence, how synchronicities multiply. Let your words bridge the imagined gap between speaker and spoken to, until you recognize that all of life engages in eternal dialogue with itself through you. Chapter 20. The Prosperity Phrase. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant's daughter named Lila faced empty shelves and mounting bills. Each morning she would stare at her ledger, anxiety tightening her chest as numbers danced mockingly before her eyes. Yet within those moments of scarcity lay a seed of abundance waiting to sprout. Instead of dwelling in worry, Lila began a curious practice. With unwavering calm, she would softly state, "All needs are met." At first, the words felt hollow against the stark reality of her situation, but she persisted, allowing each declaration to sink deeper into her consciousness. As days passed, a subtle shift occurred. Her shoulders relaxed, her breath deepened, and most remarkably, opportunities began appearing. A forgotten debt was repaid. A new supplier offered better terms. Customers seemed drawn to her shop as if guided by an invisible hand. The transformation wasn't in the external circumstances alone. It was Lila's certainty that had altered the very fabric of her reality. Across town lived Simon, an artist whose paintings captured the soul of the city. Though talented, commissions had been scarce. One evening, while cleaning his brushes, wisdom whispered in his heart. He began describing his success as though it had already manifested. "I am grateful for the abundance of commissions that flowed to me this month. My art has touched many lives." Within days, a collector discovered his work. Within weeks, his calendar overflowed with requests. Simon understood he hadn't changed his technique. He had shifted his relationship with abundance itself. The universe moves according to the certainty in your words. When you speak of prosperity as an established fact rather than a distant hope, you align with the natural flow of abundance. Your declarations become the mold into which substance flows. Prosperity isn't earned through struggle. It manifests through your unshakable knowing. When you describe abundance in the past tense, you're not predicting the future. You're acknowledging what already exists in the eternal now. Divine economy operates through spiritual law, not material effort. Your role is to maintain the consciousness of completion, letting the details arrange themselves according to infinite intelligence. Practice. Throughout your day, declare your desires as accomplished facts. Feel the deep gratitude of having received. Speak of abundance as your natural state, knowing the universe must conform to your word. Let your declarations ring with the authority of one who understands that all needs are met in the eternal now. Part 3. The Infinite Speech. Chapter 21. The Tone That Heals. In a quiet village lived Mabel, who discovered the sacred art of bodily communion. Each morning, as pain coursed through her joints, she would lay her hands upon herself and whisper, "You are loved, you are whole, you are divine perfection expressing." At first, the practice seemed simple, perhaps too simple. Yet as days turned to weeks, her body began responding to this gentle dialogue. Where once she spoke of her illness as an enemy to be fought, she now addressed each cell as a beloved child finding its way home. "Sweet temple of spirit," she would say, "remember your original grace." The transformation began subtly. first a lessening of morning stiffness, then a gradual return of vitality. Her healing accelerated not through force, but through the tender consistency of her loving words. The power of this truth found further expression through Amos, whose hands brought comfort to the sick. As a nurse in a busy ward, he had witnessed the limits of medicine alone. One day, while tending to a patient, he felt moved to speak directly to the patient's cells. In soft tones, barely above a whisper, he would affirm their innate intelligence and capacity for renewal. To his amazement, patients in his care began recovering at remarkable rates. Wounds healed more swiftly, fevers broke more readily, and the heavy atmosphere of illness seemed to lift wherever he worked. Other nurses noticed, but couldn't quite explain the phenomenon. Amos understood. He had discovered that flesh and blood respond to the frequency of love expressed through conscious speech. The body is not a mechanical system requiring force. It is a living intelligence awaiting dialogue. Every cell carries the wisdom of the universe. Every organ knows its perfect function. When you address your physical form with reverence, you awaken this sleeping wisdom. Your words become the bridge between divine blueprint and manifest health. True healing emerges not from combat with illness, but from communion with the life force expressing through form. Your body yearns to hear your blessing, to feel acknowledged as the sacred vessel it is. Through gentle speech, you remind matter of its spiritual origin and purpose. Practice. Find a quiet moment each day to commune with your physical form. Place your hands upon your body and speak words of love and appreciation. Address your cells as conscious beings eager to express perfection. Feel the resonance between your loving speech and your body's natural intelligence. Let this dialogue become a daily prayer, knowing that your flesh responds to the vibration of blessing, just as flowers turn toward sunlight. Chapter 22. The Word That Walks. In the quiet hills of a mountain village, there lived a woman named Esther, who filled journals with beautiful intentions. Each morning, she would write elaborate promises about the paintings she would create, the stories she would tell, and the wisdom she would share. Her words sparkled with possibility, yet her easel remained untouched, her stories unwritten. Day after day, she proclaimed her artistic destiny while her brushes gathered dust. "Tomorrow," she would say, "I shall paint my masterpiece." But tomorrow became another day of promises without action, until the universe itself seemed to grow deaf to her declarations. Through months of frustration, Esther began to understand a deeper truth about the sacred language of creation. Words alone were like seeds scattered on stone. It was only when she finally lifted her brush, mixed her colors, and touched canvas that her promises found fertile soil. With each stroke, her declarations took form, and the power of her words multiplied through the alchemy of action. In a bustling city miles away, Frank, a runner, spoke confidently of breaking records and winning races. His words soared with certainty as he told friends of his upcoming victories. "I am swift as the wind," he would declare, while his running shoes remained clean and unused beneath his bed. Each morning he chose comfort over training, rest over preparation, yet continued to speak of triumph. His results remained stagnant until one wise mentor shared an ancient truth. The universe responds not to our words alone, but to the harmony between speech and deed. Only when Frank began rising before dawn, feeling the pavement beneath his feet, did his declarations of victory gain momentum. His times improved not through grander statements, but through the quiet dignity of aligned action. The secret whispered through both their stories is clear. Logos, the creative power of speech, flows through channels carved by consistent action. When word and deed unite, they form a complete circuit through which universal power can flow. It is not enough to speak of mountains moving. Our hands must reach out to shift the first stone. Sacred practice. As the sun rises tomorrow, choose one declaration close to your heart. Then, with deliberate care, let your actions mirror your words throughout the day. If you speak of abundance, let your hands share freely. If you declare health, let your feet carry you toward wellness. Feel how your words gain substance and power when carried on the wings of aligned action. For in this dance between speech and deed, the ancient power of Logos finds its fullest expression. Chapter 23. The Collective Voice. In a small town among rolling hills, Agnes noticed how discord had crept into her neighborhood like a subtle fog. Arguments over fence lines, disputes about noise, and petty grievances had woven an invisible web of tension through the streets. One morning, as she watered her flowers, wisdom whispered in her heart. Words united could heal what words divided. She began simply, inviting 3 neighbors to join her for tea, and what she called moments of harmony. Together they spoke words of peace, not as mere wishes, but as living declarations. Our community flows with understanding. Love guides each interaction. Harmony dwells in every home. At first, some smiled politely, questioning the practice's purpose. Yet Agnes knew, when multiple voices align in pure intention, the vibration grows exponentially. Within weeks, their circle expanded. 10, then 20 neighbors gathered in Agnes's garden. Their voices rose together. We are one family, bound by respect. Peace flows through our streets like a gentle stream. As their words merged, something shifted. The angry letters about property lines ceased. Children from formerly feuding families played together. Gardens flourished as neighbors shared tools and knowledge. The power of collective Logos revealed itself most remarkably when Wesley, director of the local choir, witnessed this transformation. Inspired by Agnes's gatherings, he introduced gratitude songs into his choir's practice. Let us sing our thanks for this moment, this town, these connections, he guided them. Their harmonies carried more than music. They bore the frequency of appreciation. The choir's weekly performances in the town square became occasions of profound unity. Shop owners stepped outside to listen. Strangers smiled at one another. The vibration of 30 voices expressing gratitude reshaped the town's emotional architecture. Crime rates dropped. Local businesses reported increased cooperation. Even the weather seemed to respond, bringing gentle rains when needed and sun for community events. Each declaration spoken in unison, each song of thanks sung in harmony, demonstrated an eternal truth. When humans align their speech in higher purpose, they tap into creation's original chorus. The power of one voice multiplies exponentially through unity, like a single candle lighting hundreds more without diminishing its own flame. Sacred practice. Find at least one other person to join you in speaking words of blessing. Together, voice the same affirmation 3 times, feeling your combined energy amplify the intention. Notice how shared speech carries greater authority than solitary utterance. As you practice, Imagine your unified voices joining the eternal song that sustains all life. Chapter 24. The Living Scripture. A gentle breeze carried whispers through an ancient olive grove, where a woman sat beneath gnarled branches, her weathered journal open in her lap. As she turned each page, memories of her written words stirred something deeper within. Not mere recollections, but divine resonance. In moments of quiet reflection, Olive discovered that her daily journaling had transformed into a sacred dialogue. What began as simple diary entries revealed themselves as channels of wisdom, each page containing messages that seemed to arise from a source beyond herself. Through her pen, the universe had been speaking all along. The truth unfolds through the ink of sincerity. Every genuine word, penned with presence, becomes a verse in the eternal manuscript of creation. When you write from the heart's knowing, your lines carry the same creative force that authored existence itself. This revelation reminds us that sacred texts were once simple words flowing through open vessels. The difference lies not in the writer, but in the alignment with truth. Your shopping lists, love letters, and midnight musings all hold the potential to transmit divine frequencies when written in conscious connection. In a small village studio, Gordon shaped clay with practiced hands while humming ancient melodies. One day, inspiration moved him to etch words of blessing into each bowl before firing. Peace flows eternal, and love nourishes all, emerged in flowing script around the rims. Soon, customers reported strange experiences. Meals shared from these vessels brought harmony to family dinners. Arguments dissolved, connections deepened, and grace seemed to pour forth with every serving. The clay had become a conductor of consciousness, proving that even everyday objects can channel higher vibrations through intentional inscription. When we recognize that all creation springs from the Word, we understand that our writing carries this same generative power. Your journal is not separate from the sacred texts of old. It is their modern continuation, your unique expression of the one eternal story being told through all life. The universe longs to write through you, to inscribe its wisdom in your unique hand. Every stroke of your pen can carry codes of transformation when guided by truth rather than habit. Your grocery lists become prayers, your thank you notes become blessings, your signatures become sacred seals. Ancient practice. Before writing anything today, pause and align with the sacred scribe within. Feel your hand as an instrument of divine expression. Let each word flow from presence rather than program. Write even mundane notes with the reverence of one inscribing holy text, knowing that consciousness flows through every letter you form. Watch as your written words begin to pulse with power, carrying light through ink into manifest form. Chapter 25. The Frequency of Service. In a bustling marketplace, Etta noticed an elderly woman struggling with heavy bags. Instead of simply helping, she spoke words of strength and vitality. May your steps be light and your journey blessed. The woman's posture immediately shifted, her eyes brightening as new energy coursed through her frame. This moment awakened Etta to a profound truth. For years, she had kept her spiritual practices private, using affirmations and declarations solely for her own transformation. But now she understood the power of the word multiplies when freely given to others. Each morning, Etta began blessing everyone she encountered. To the mail carrier, may joy fill your route today. To the baker, May abundance flow through your hands. To children passing by, may your dreams take wing. What unfolded next defied ordinary explanation. The mail carrier reported finding lost packages effortlessly. The baker's bread gained a reputation for healing properties. Children started achieving their aspirations in unexpected ways. These miracles taught a vital principle. Words of blessing create circuits of divine energy. When you direct the power of LOGOS outward, it returns magnified. Your speech becomes a conduit for universal force, transforming both giver and receiver. In another part of town, Byron discovered this same truth through his work as a street musician. Rather than simply performing for tips, he began offering kind phrases to each passerby. "Your presence brings light to this day," or "The world is better because you're in it." Soon, Byron noticed strange patterns emerging. People he had blessed would reappear at crucial moments, bearing exactly what he needed: a guitar string when his broke, an umbrella before an unexpected storm, directions to a life-changing opportunity. The more he blessed others, the more synchronicity wove through his life. This demonstrates an eternal law. LOGOS directed outward creates a field of harmonious attraction. Your blessed words ripple through the fabric of reality, orchestrating perfect timing and divine coincidence. The universe responds not to what you request, but to what you freely give. The power of your word grows exponentially when used in service to others. Each blessing spoken becomes a seed planted in the garden of infinite possibility. As you nurture others with conscious speech, you tap into the limitless flow of universal good. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, bless 3 strangers with genuine words of light. Speak to their highest potential, their inherent divinity, their natural abundance. Do this without expectation of return, simply allowing your inner radiance to overflow through language. Notice how this practice transforms both your reality and theirs, creating waves of grace that extend far beyond your immediate perception. Chapter 26. The Infinite Yes. In the heart of a small coastal town lived a woman named Iva who spent her days resisting life's challenges. Each morning brought a fresh wave of resistance as she fought against whatever the universe placed before her. When rain threatened her garden party, she cursed the clouds. When clients requested changes to her designs, she tensed with frustration. Her words became weapons of defense against what she perceived as life's constant attacks. Yet one morning, as she watched the sun rise over the ocean, a peculiar thought washed over her like the gentle tide. What if resistance itself was the source of her struggle? In that moment of clarity, she whispered her first genuine yes to the dawn. The simple word felt foreign on her tongue, yet strangely liberating. From that day forward, Iva began an experiment in acceptance. When traffic slowed her morning commute, instead of her usual complaints, she would say, "Yes, I welcome this moment to breathe deeply." When unexpected bills arrived, she would affirm, "Yes, I open myself to new channels of abundance." With each acceptance, she noticed the sharp edges of her circumstances softening, as if the universe was responding to her newfound willingness to dance with it rather than fight against it. The transformation in her life unfolded like a flower reaching toward sunlight. Projects that once seemed insurmountable became adventures in possibility. Relationships that had been strained by her resistance began to heal through her practice of acceptance. she discovered that saying yes wasn't surrender. It was an invitation to infinite potential. Across town, Truman sat in his cluttered workshop, surrounded by half-finished inventions and crumpled blueprints. For years, his creative process had been blocked by an endless stream of complaints. These materials are inadequate. This design will never work. I don't have enough time. His words had become a cage, trapping his genius behind bars of negativity. One evening, while staring at a particularly challenging prototype, he decided to shift his internal dialogue. Instead of his usual frustration, he asked with genuine curiosity, "What if this apparent obstacle is actually the key to something extraordinary?" That single question, spoken aloud with wonder rather than defeat, sparked a cascade of insights. Truman began approaching each invention with questions of possibility. How might this work better? What amazing solution awaits discovery? What if the perfect answer is already here? His workshop became a sanctuary of affirming curiosity, and the universe responded with a torrent of innovation. Ideas that had eluded him for months suddenly appeared in dreams, during walks, or in the quiet moments between thoughts. Within weeks, solutions to long-standing design problems emerged effortlessly. His inventions began working in ways he hadn't imagined possible, as if the very atoms of his materials were responding to his new frequency of wonder and acceptance. The core truth revealed through Iva and Truman's experiences is profound. When you align your words with acceptance rather than resistance, the universe shifts from perceived adversary to cooperative partner. Your yes becomes a key that unlocks doors previously hidden from view. Practice. Throughout your day, pronounce a gentle yes to whatever arises. When challenges appear, soften your response with acceptance. Notice how this simple shift in language transforms what once seemed like obstacles into doorways of opportunity. Let your yes become a bridge between limitation and infinite possibility. Chapter 27. The Sacred Pause. A gentle breeze stirred the wind chimes outside Hattie's meditation room, where she had always rushed through her daily affirmations. Like many spiritual practitioners, she believed more words meant greater power. Yet on this particular morning, something shifted in her understanding. As the wind chimes created their melodic conversation, Hattie noticed how the spaces between each note gave the sound its beauty. In that moment, she realized she had been filling every moment with words, leaving no room for divine resonance. She began to space her affirmations with conscious pauses, allowing each declaration to settle into the fabric of existence. The universe responded with remarkable clarity. Her manifestations, once scattered and weak, now materialized with surprising precision. The secret lay not in the quantity of her words, but in the sacred spaces between them, those precious moments where creation itself could breathe and take form. This wisdom rippled outward, touching those around her. Among them was Elmer, whose passionate speeches had always left audiences mentally exhausted. As a public speaker, he believed in filling every second with sound, afraid that silence would lose his listeners' attention. One day, after hearing Hattie speak about the power of pauses, he transformed his approach. During his next lecture, he allowed intentional silences to punctuate his words. To his amazement, these moments of quiet didn't disconnect his audience. They drew them closer. Each pause became a bridge where understanding could deepen, where wisdom could root itself in the fertile soil of consciousness. His listeners reported feeling the messages not just in their minds, but in their very being. The spaces between his words had become sacred vessels, carrying meaning far deeper than mere language could convey. What he had once feared as empty silence revealed itself as the very breath of transformation. These experiences illuminate a profound truth. The power of Logos flows not just through sound, but through stillness. Just as music requires both notes and rests to create harmony, divine speech needs both expression and silence to manifest its full creative force. Ancient practice. Sit in natural surroundings and observe how you speak. Begin incorporating deliberate pauses between your words, treating each silence as sacred space where miracles incubate. Feel how these intervals allow your declarations to sink deeper into the quantum field. Practice this, especially during prayers and affirmations, knowing that in these holy pauses, the universe contemplates and weaves your words into reality. Chapter 28. The Rainbow Word. In a small cottage filled with ordinary gray furnishings, Flora sat in contemplation of the dullness surrounding her. Like many who walk the path of manifestation, she had focused solely on choosing the right words. Yet something vital was missing from her practice. One morning, as sunlight painted her walls in golden hues, understanding dawned within her heart. She began infusing her speech with vivid colors, not just in metaphor but in felt sensation. When speaking of abundance, she wrapped her words in rich emerald green, feeling prosperity's verdant nature pulse through each syllable. Her affirmations for love glowed with rose pink, while declarations of spiritual truth shimmered with pure white light. To her amazement, her environment began responding. The plants in her garden grew more vibrantly, their leaves displaying deeper shades of green. Her relationships bloomed with newfound warmth, as though the pink light of her loving words had painted reality itself. Even the atmosphere in her home transformed, taking on the exact qualities of the colors she spoke into being. This revelation found its way to Julian, an artist whose work had always felt incomplete despite his technical skill. His paintings, while competent, lacked the spark of life he yearned to express. Upon learning of Flora's discovery, he began speaking colors aloud as he worked, letting each shade rise from his heart through his voice before touching brush to canvas. Cerulean peace, he would intone, feeling the cool tranquility of blue saturate his brush strokes. Golden joy, he declared, watching as sunlight seemed to pour from his palette. His studio became a sanctuary where spoken color and painted form merged into one unified expression. Collectors soon noticed the difference. They spoke of feeling actual emotions emanating from his canvases, as though the paintings themselves were speaking in hues of feeling. One patron described standing before Julian's work as listening with my eyes to a symphony of color. Their experiences unveil an essential truth about the nature of Logos. Words carry not just meaning, but vibrational frequency, which manifests as color in the subtle realms before materializing in physical form. When you speak with chromatic consciousness, you encode reality with the full spectrum of divine expression. Ancient practice. As you speak your daily intentions, immerse each word in the color that matches its essence. Feel gratitude as golden light, peace as soft blue, vitality as radiant green. Let these colors flow through your voice, painting your declarations with the exact hues you wish to manifest. Notice how your environment begins to resonate with these chromatic frequencies, reflecting back the colored light of your conscious speech. The universe responds not just to your words, but to the living colors you weave through them. Chapter 29, The Eternal Dialogue. In the quiet morning hours, Nell noticed something peculiar as she prepared her morning tea. Each thought that crossed her mind seemed to receive an immediate response from the world around her. When she pondered the meaning of a dream, a dove landed on her windowsill. As she wondered about calling her sister, the phone rang with her sister's voice on the other end. At first, Nell dismissed these occurrences as mere coincidence. Yet as days passed, she began to recognize a pattern. The universe was engaged in constant conversation with her. When she silently asked for guidance about a career decision, a book fell from her shelf, opening to a passage that contained her answer. When she expressed gratitude for the morning sun, the clouds parted to reveal an unusually brilliant dawn. The more Nell acknowledged these responses, the more frequent and clear they became. The universe, she discovered, spoke in a language of synchronicity through number sequences, chance encounters, and perfectly timed events. This divine dialogue required no words, only awareness and recognition. Through this silent exchange, Nell learned that creation itself maintains an ongoing conversation with every soul. The universe's voice emerges through the precise orchestration of events, each one carrying a message for those attuned to listen. Your thoughts are questions cast into the infinite, and life's unfolding provides the answers. In a bustling restaurant across town, Bruce discovered this same truth through a different path. As a waiter, he began expressing silent gratitude to the unseen forces after receiving each tip. "Thank you, Divine Spirit," he would whisper inwardly, acknowledging the abundance flowing through his life. What began as a simple practice soon revealed its transformative power. Bruce noticed his tips increasing steadily, but more significantly, he experienced a continuous stream of small blessings. Difficult customers became agreeable, rushed moments flowed smoothly, and even during slow periods, unexpected generosity found its way to his table. The universe, Bruce realized, responds to acknowledgement like a flower turning toward the sun. His gratitude created a channel through which abundance could flow more freely. Each thank you strengthened this connection, weaving a tapestry of ongoing blessing. This eternal dialogue requires neither special ritual nor elaborate ceremony. It flows naturally when you recognize that existence itself is an endless conversation between consciousness and creation. Every moment carries the potential for divine communication, through subtle signs, meaningful coincidences, and the gentle orchestration of circumstances that guide your path. Sacred practice. Begin treating each coincidence as a direct message from the universe. When synchronicities appear, acknowledge them with warmth, as you would a friend's greeting. Maintain this loving dialogue throughout your day, seeing every moment as part of an eternal conversation. Let your heart remain open to the infinite ways the universe speaks, knowing that divine communion never ceases. It simply awaits your recognition and response. Chapter 30. The Final Word Within. In the depths of a meditation retreat, Della sat motionless as understanding dawned within her heart. For years she had studied sacred texts, chanted mantras, and practiced affirmations, searching endlessly for the perfect words to manifest her desires. Yet in this moment of profound stillness, she discovered that the highest expression of divine language required no sound at all. As she rested in this revelation, memories surfaced of all the times she had struggled to find the right phrases, believing that exact wording would unlock the universe's secrets. Now she saw that those efforts, while part of her journey, had been like waves on the surface of a vast ocean. Beneath them lay something far more fundamental, the silent knowing of love itself. Through this wordless wisdom, Della experienced reality shifting without effort. Her relationships harmonized, health flourished, and abundance flowed. Not because she spoke certain phrases, but because she had touched the source from which all words emerge. She realized that language itself was merely the outer ripple of this deeper current of being. The universe, she discovered, doesn't require elaborate declarations. It responds to the simple resonance of your true nature, which is love expressing itself through form. This silent knowing carries more power than all the affirmations ever spoken, for it connects directly with the creative force that birthed existence itself. Along a distant shore, Marvin came to this same truth through a different gateway. After years of spiritual seeking across continents, he found himself standing at the ocean's edge as sunset painted the horizon. As waves lapped at his feet, he whispered words of gratitude, not from habit or practice, but from spontaneous appreciation of beauty. In that moment, something extraordinary occurred. His whispered thanks began to synchronize with the rhythm of the waves. Soon, he could no longer distinguish where his voice ended and the ocean's song began. The boundary between observer and observed dissolved, revealing that all of creation speaks one unified language, the eternal song of being itself. Through this experience, Marvin understood that what we call God's voice and our own voice are not separate things. They are one breath, one vibration, one endless expression of love taking form. All of existence flows from this single source, speaking itself into manifestation through countless forms while remaining forever whole. This highest teaching transcends technique or method. It points to the truth that you are already the creative word made flesh. Your very presence is the universe speaking itself into form. When you rest in this knowing, all effort falls away. What remains is the natural expression of love through your unique embodiment. Sacred practice, rest where words end and awareness begins, sensing that you are ongoing creative sound of eternity. Let go of all techniques and simply be the silence from which all sound emerges. In this space beyond language, recognize yourself as the living word through which the universe expresses its endless love. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The final truth emerges not through complex incantations or elaborate rituals, but through the simple recognition that you are already speaking the language of creation itself. Your every word ripples through the quantum field. Your every thought sends waves through the cosmic ocean of consciousness. The universe is not a distant entity to be petitioned. It is the ongoing dialogue between your inner knowing and outer manifestation. Through these chapters, you have witnessed ordinary souls rediscover this primordial power. Their stories mirror your own journey of remembering that which was never truly forgotten. Like them, You are learning that the highest form of spiritual speech requires no special training. It flows naturally when you align with the love that underlies all existence. The electromagnetic signature of your words shapes reality in ways science is only beginning to comprehend. Yet this power operates not through force, but through resonance. When you speak from that still center where thought and feeling unite, the universe responds not as servant, but as partner in creation. This is the paradox at the heart of divine speech. The more you relax into simply being, the more effortlessly your words carry creative force. No longer must you struggle to find perfect phrases or memorize sacred formulas. Instead, allow yourself to become a clear channel through which universal wisdom naturally flows. Your speech now becomes your prayer, your silence, your meditation. Every word carries the frequency of your consciousness. Every pause allows divine intelligence to work through you. You are not learning a new language, but remembering your native tongue, the very vibration that sang galaxies into being. Let this awareness transform how you engage with life itself. The universe eagerly awaits your voice, not as beggar, but as beloved co-creator. Speak with the quiet confidence of one who knows that reality itself is your eternal conversation partner.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.